to my channel. It's Andrea, and in today's video I thought I would start a new series focusing on palettes, either eyeshadow palettes or face palettes that you can use for a full face of makeup. And the first palette that I decided to do this with is my Douce palette by Juvia's Place, because I have already done a full face with this palette before. And I just thought it would be kind of a fun idea to see different ways that you can use your palettes. So my goal is to use this for as many color products as possible. So highlighter, blush, bronzer, eyebrow powder, obviously eyeshadow, and lipstick. So keep on watching to see how everything turns out. That's a super awkward intro, but we're just gonna move past it. I haven't filmed in a while. So while I'm doing like my base products, since I'm not obviously going to be using that for foundation or anything like that, I'll just talk about a couple of things that I've been loving recently that are not makeup related. And the first is our garden outside in the backyard. So maybe about 3 years ago, we actually tore out all of the bushes that were around our patio, and I mean, my husband did about 90% of the work, but I helped a little bit. We built these two retaining walls. For our garden. And originally the plan was to have our vegetable garden on one side, and then the other side would just be filled with flowers and bushes and things, and we never got around to doing the other side. But we planted jalapenos, green peppers, zucchini, tomatoes, and green onions. And as you can maybe see from the footage, I'm going to try to insert some footage that I took of the garden just so you can kind of get a visual. But the zucchini, my husband transplanted a bunch to the other side just because they were so crowded. And the tomatoes that you see on the side with the transplanted zucchinis were not put there by us. It's just we had so many tomatoes last year that like fell, and squirrels would eat the tomatoes and drop the seeds everywhere. So we have tomato plants sprouting up all over our yard. We're still finding new tomato plants, but we have just picked our first tomatoes the other day, but I think the zucchini have started to run their course a little bit. The plants do not look the way they do in the video that I shot a few weeks ago. They're starting to all kind of like shrivel up. I think their time is over, but that's okay because we probably got, I don't know, at least 40 zucchini out of all of our plants. And there's still some growing. I mean, they're not totally done yet. And we haven't picked any peppers yet, but they're growing. So we did jalapenos last year. We only had one plant though. This year we have about 5 plants, I think. So if you have any like jalapeno recipes or anything, or even zucchini recipes, because we have so many and we're trying to give them away, but even giving them away, we still have so many. So the garden is definitely one thing that I've been enjoying this summer. Before the plants got too big, I actually liked getting out there and weeding everything. And of course, now that they're big enough to start harvesting, I like harvesting, so I've been enjoying that. And it just, seeing them grow, I mean, we're not the best quote unquote farmers. Like, we don't really fertilize or water them. My husband built a rain barrel, so it's connected to like this underground hose thing that he set up when he built the retaining walls. So they are constantly getting some underground water. So we're not totally ignoring them, but we don't water them other than that. But just the fact that they can grow so big without really much help, I don't know. I like to refer to it as our jungle. We have our jungle in the backyard. The second thing that I've really been enjoying this year is I bought a it's new to me. It's a actually fairly old bike off of Facebook Marketplace. And we've been enjoying going on family bike rides. We have a little like bike trailer that we bought for my husband's bike, although I can use it too, to pull the kids in. And we've been going on family bike rides, and I have not owned a bike in like probably at least 15 years. So I forgot how much I enjoy bike riding. So I've been really happy with that. Okay, so we're gonna take a pause from the non-makeup favorite chat for a second, and we're gonna start dipping into this. So for highlight, there's really two shades. This one, which is like the white with a purpley pink duochrome shift, or if you have a deeper skin tone, you could probably get away with using this one. I'm gonna go ahead and use, this is the shade Tart. I'm gonna use that as my highlight. I can find my brush. The other reason I wanted to pick this palette as the first in this series is because this is one of my favorite palettes. It's in my top 10. I actually made a video a while ago with my top 10 eyeshadow palettes, which I will link up in the cards. But and I mean, to be honest, I like these highlights anyway with the kind of pinky purple in it, so it works out for me. Now for bronzer, it's not the most perfect shade, but I'm gonna use this shade Crepes, and I'm just gonna make sure that I do it fairly lightly because this is a rather warm toned shadow, and I don't want to make my cheeks too orangey. And if necessary, I can use this shade Berry Mousse to kind of lighten things up a bit if they get a little too heavy. And for blush, I feel you could use creme or custard. Custard I think would be a little too deep on me, so I'm going to use creme as my blush. Need more than that though. Also try to, when I put my highlighter down right in this spot, it was a little bit blinding. I'm going to try to blend over that just a bit. As far as other things that I've been loving non-makeup wise lately, I've started trying to watch a little more Netflix again, and I don't think I've mentioned this before, but I love horror. Like, that is my favorite genre to watch, to read. So I finally started watching, it's this French horror television show called Marianne, and it came out last year on Netflix, and I finally started watching it. And I think there's 8 episodes. I'm only 3 episodes in, but it's pretty creepy. It's one of those things where, like, it's creepy when you're watching it, but you don't get scared until later and you're like laying in bed and you're thinking about it. It's one of those. I am going to take this shade Chocolat and do my brows with it. So I've watched that. I recently like this past weekend, went with my youngest sister. We went to visit our middle sister in Chicago. Like, don't worry, we didn't go anywhere. Like, we got takeout, but we didn't actually eat at a restaurant. We always wore our masks, although not everyone else did. But we really didn't interact with other people, so it was mainly just so I could have a little break from the kids, and so my sister could have some company because she lives by herself, and, you know, obviously with the pandemic going on, she can't really see her friends and stuff. So we went to visit, and we watched a couple of Netflix movies. We watched The Lovebirds with Kumail Nanjiani and Issa Rae, and it was a really good movie. It was very funny, so I would definitely recommend that one. And then we watched Tootsie with Dustin Hoffman, and yeah, that movie hasn't aged very well. We're just gonna leave it at that. Just to set my face, I'm using my NYX High Glass powder, and then we will get into the eyeshadow. Do my brows real quick with this gel that I got from e.l.f. that was $2, and it's not even worth $2 in my opinion, but I'll talk about this more when it's an empty. I need to set my face. That probably seemed excessive, but this mister on this is so fine that I feel like I need to spray my face that much in order for me to get enough product. I don't know if you'll be able to hear my husband like playing with the kids, so if you hear any like weird sounds, that's what that is. Kind of tying into the horror aspect, my sister lent me her PS4 so that I could play Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which was a really good game. It was very creepy. My favorite video game of all time is Silent Hill 2. I mean, the Silent Hill series in general. And it reminded me very much of those types of survival horror games, which, again, if it's not like some totally ridiculous game, like my other favorite game is, this is embarrassing that it's my favorite game and I can't think of it. What is it? Okay, I had to actually go ask my husband what the name of the video game was that we liked to play together, because I could not remember it, even though it's one of my favorites, and that is kind of embarrassing. Just to start with, I'm gonna do Berry Mousse, and I'm gonna do Berry Mousse in the transition, and then I'm gonna do custard in the crease. So those are the, besides survival horror, a game like Borderlands where it's just a huge like world, and it's basically you're just shooting bad guys. I mean, those are the kind of games that I like. So Resident Evil 7 definitely isn't at the survival horror camp, but it was, my only complaint was it was a little too short, but I definitely got a little jumpy at some points. It's the first like video game I've actually finished in, and I'm not counting Borderlands because that's something that I play with my husband, and it's one of those things where yes, you can finish it, but you can always just go back and do all kinds of random stuff. It's not like a super linear storyline. So that's the first game I've actually finished probably in several years. And it was really good, and I'm glad that I got a chance to play it. Okay, now I'm gonna take custard, kind of in the crease / transition. Oh man, I'm just glad that they're happy. And then one of the other things that I've been enjoying during the pandemic is for Mother's Day, my husband got me a subscription to the Atlas Coffee Club, which is just once a month you get a bag of coffee from so far all of the coffees have come from African countries, but they're all very tasty. I love my coffee. Like I can't live without my coffee. I need it in the mornings. So I like getting, well, one, I like getting packages in the mail, and two, I like coffee. So this is the perfect gift for me. I already told him because my birthday is in October, and my subscription is gonna run out. I think October is the last month that I'm gonna get something. So I told him for my birthday I want him to renew my subscription for another 6 months, because I mean, let's be honest, I have so much stuff makeup wise, non-makeup wise. I really don't need anything else, and this way he gets to enjoy the gift too, because he also likes coffee. Actually, while I'm here, I'm going to just, this is a little, it says liner smudge brush. I'm gonna take that custard shade and run it underneath my lower lash line as well. So I always leave this step for last, but there's really no reason why I can't do it right now. Let's give that glitter glue a little chance to set before I stick the other shades on top of it. Oh, and you can probably hear my daughter. She's going through a big no phase. Everything is no. Okay. I think I'm going to do this shade, well, I don't know. Actually, I think I might do a little bit of chocolate in the outer corner, and then I'm going to do kind of like a gradient of the Mont Blanc and the macarons, which is one of my top 10 favorite shades of all time in my collection, on the lid. And then the only color I haven't used yet is Puffs, so I'm going to use that on my inner corner. So we'll start with I'm just going to use the same brush that I did for the lower lash line. I'm just going to use that to just a little depth in the outer corner before I put all of those shimmers on there. So I really don't know what I'm gonna call this series. I feel like I'm just so uncreative when it comes to naming things. So I'm probably, I mean, this video, unless I come up with something better, for right now, it's probably just gonna be like one full face, one palette or something like that. But if you have any suggestions for what I should call this, I am more than happy to hear them. I need to like really take a look through my other eyeshadow and face palettes, but I already know that I want to do this with the Juvia's Place, the Saharan 2, is it the Saharan 2 blush palette? I think that's what it's called. I want to do it with that palette. And I mean, a lot of my bigger palettes I could probably do it with too, but I don't know. I think it's fun to try to see how many different ways you can use things in your collection. Okay, now I'm taking this Mont Blanc shade. I actually don't think I've ever put this on my eyeball before. It's like a very silvery, grayish green. I feel like it looks a lot darker in the pan than it actually shows up on the eye. You know what? I might actually just use my finger with this one. This isn't getting quite... See, and on my finger it looks really silver. And I know, I feel like when I've seen other people talk about this palette, they call this, they say it's like a silvery green, but to me this just looks straight up silver. It's still pretty though, I mean. Okay, and then might as well just use a finger for the macarons color too. This is, like I said, this is one of my absolute favorite eyeshadows, and I just love the way it pairs with the pinks in this palette. I think that's part of the reason I love it so much, is I just love the way it looks with these pinks. Okay, I'm gonna use that same finger that I have macarons on, and I'm gonna go back into Mont Blanc and just like where they meet, just blend them a little more so it's more of like a seamless gradient. And then we will put, where is take my little pencil brush, and I'm going to take this shade Puffs and put it on the inner corner. I'm trying to remember, I think Emily Noel is the one that kind of pushed me to get this palette, because she did a look on her channel. This was a while ago. I think she did, like, she used these two. I know she used these two. I can't remember if she used macarons or not, or if she just used these shimmers on the lid, like just used this kind of quad, and it just looks so pretty that I was like, oh, okay, I think I'll get this palette. I'm gonna use my Ultimate Brow Highlight in my lower inner rim really quick, and then I'm going to use that. I'm also going to use this palette for eyeliner, so I'm going to use the Chocolat shade, the darkest brown as my eyeliner. I'm gonna take, this is an It Cosmetics times Ulta angled liner slash brow brush, and I'm going to just do my best. I'm not the best at eyeliner using shadows, so it's gonna look a little funky, but it'll just be like more of a subtle eyeliner, which is fine. I'm just gonna kind of connect it to where I have it in the outer crease, because otherwise it was just looking a little weird. Like I said, it's going to be a subtle eyeliner, but that's okay. I still think it looks good. So for mascara, oh my gosh. Okay. I've been using this little Anastasia mascara. This is not, no. This is such a pain in the butt to use because it's so, I mean, the brush is friggin' gigantic, but like the lid handle, whatever, is so tiny. Ow, I just stabbed myself in the eye. It's kind of difficult to use, but I figure just gotta, it's not gonna last very long. I mean, this is a really small sample bottle, so just gotta suffer through a couple more weeks of this and then I can toss it. Plus, I think it smudges, because I've been, that's the thing, I can't figure out if it's this mascara or the CoverGirl mascara I'm using for my lower lashes that's supposed to be waterproof. But by the end of the day, I'm getting smudging under my eye, and I don't know which one it is. Really. I'm gonna have to go in with a little bit more of that custard color to cover that up. There. It's like it never happened. And then finally, to finish everything off for the lips, I'm going to lay down a base of this Ulta Beauty lip oil so that the eyeshadow will have something to stick to. And I can't decide if I want to use creme or if I want to use custard. Maybe I can use both. Let's see. I'll start with custard because it's the darker like purpley pink. Use my finger and pat more like on the, well, actually I should not use that same finger in the pan because everything is gonna get sticky. I mean, it is a little bit patchy, but now I'm going to take that creme shade, which is the corally pink, and go pat it over top. That works for me. It's still, you still mostly see the custard shade. It's just a little bit more muted from putting the creme shade on. Now it's time to try to fix my hair. Yeah. My sister, I think I mentioned this before, my sister makes fun of me because, you see mama? My sister makes fun of me because I cut my bangs and then I never wear them down anymore. I always pin them back, but... Oh, hi. Do you want to be in a video? Video? Too shy. My daughter, in fact, did not want to be in a video. But anyway, this is the finished look. That is the first in hopefully several videos featuring a full face with using just one palette. Like I said, this was all done with the Douce palette by Juvia's Place, and I really like how it turned out, but that's not surprising considering this is one of my favorite palettes of all time. So yeah, that is the final look. I do really like using that shade Tarte as a highlight. The bronzer is not totally like super noticeable, but that's okay because it was kind of more orangey reddish toned. I didn't want to overdo it with the bronzer, but I love how the eye look turned out because I love macarons and I basically love every single shade in this palette. So, and I did manage to use every single shade in this palette, so I'm really happy that I was able to incorporate every shade. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're staying safe and sane and healthy, and I will talk to you later. Bye!